This is the Q&A community video for September 2025. The first question is from Blob. I heard in some videos that you like to draw. Do you have a favorite motive or thing that you love to doodle in a sketchbook? Personally, I really like drawing skeletons of humans and animals. Interesting. Personally, like when it comes to drawing, I don't draw as much as I would like. When I do get time to draw, I tend to like draw a lot of humans, just like characters. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of drawing a character's hair well. Like that to me is like my favorite thing. When I get a character's hair right, like it makes me like motivated to like that I can do this. It's like, okay, I like their hair turned out great. That's fantastic. I have my own particular style. I can show my style on the screen right now. But I'm not sure, like it's not that good. It's not that it's good, but like this is my style. Usually big ears. Borrowed like a lot of stuff from like a lot of other artists as well, no doubt about it. Like I'm a big fan of Naoki Urasawa and stuff like this as well. So I take a lot from his like sketch, like I'm not gonna be as good as him ever, but I take a lot from his like shadow techniques and his sketch techniques and like the way he draws like shadows and textures and stuff like that as well. Like I really love that stuff as well. But also like, you know, there's also like, you know, I want to add my own flair to it, whether it is the big ears, whether it is like, you know, like the way I draw mouths, the most simplistic style. I think my style is way simpler than most people's styles. But yeah, I'm not trying to say that's any good, but that's what I tried to do. I really love drawing people. I love drawing characters that I think have pretty hair, or characters that like have like great personality in them. If I can do that, I don't always accomplish it, but I do like doing it. I love like when you're drawing a character and you give them like a personality flair that like people like notice right away. Like if I ever show my friend like, oh, this is a character I'm making, and they go, oh my god, I love like this aspect of them. I'm like, yeah, that's part of the personality too. Like I love that aspect. But yeah, that's what I would say is a big motivator for me, which is just drawing people and drawing nice flowing hair. What's Your Damage asks, is a movie you recommend for anyone to watch at least once? What movie you think people should not see? A movie considered 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I would say this, right? I love the Back to the Future trilogy so much. I love the Muppets movies so much. Goodfellas is a really perfect movie. Mermaids, the one with Winona Ryder and Cher and Christina Ricci is really, really great too. The Little Women movie from the 90s, that one with Winona Ryder and that as well, is also another fantastic movie at the same time too. Those are all really fantastic movies. But if I had to like, again, I know it's probably not for everybody, but if I had to recommend some movies for people, like there's a few movies that like I'm like I could watch right now and they're just like perfect to me. The original Halloween from like you know the 70s, that is a perfect movie. Halloween with Michael Myers. The original Nightmare on Elm Street and Nightmare on Elm Street 3, again, superb movies, absolutely amazing. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is like to me like a 9 out of 10, and then Nightmare on Elm Street 3. The Dream Warriors is a 10 out of 10 movie. It's so freaking good, and it's so whimsical as well at the same time too. Even though while it's very cruel and scary, it's still also very imaginative and creative. Then we have Scream 1 and 2. The Scream movies. These horror movies, Scream 1 and 2, like took horror for me to a whole new level, where I now looked at Scream as like, this is what I want for horror, which is like something I feel like happened in like Nightmare on Elm Street as well and Halloween, but Scream kind of solidified it in a way where like, I care more about the characters of Scream in 1 and 2 than I do about like the horror aspects. I want to see how Cindy Prescott is doing. I want to see how I see how Gale is doing. I want to see how Dewey is doing. Like I care more about updates on the characters that I love than I do about the actual scare factor of it. And like I think that's like, you know, in the original Halloween, like Nancy, I care about so much about her as well. And like Nightmare on Elm Street. And the original Halloween, you know, Laurie Strode, you care about these characters, which makes you want to root for them more. I care for those characters. But yeah, those are perfect movies at the same time too. Other than that, a very like movie that I think is also great is the Yu-Gi-Oh movie. The Yu-Gi-Oh movie is fantastic because honestly, it's panned by critics, but it was amazing. It was Kaiba versus Yugi for a couple of hours. It was awesome. Those would be my answers. Victoria asks, what is something you've always wanted to learn to do? A hobby, a skill, a new language, or something else entirely? I play guitar, but I want to deepen my talent with guitar. I would also say that like learning a language is probably the best answer. I think being able to be fluent in multiple languages would be absolutely fantastic. It opens up horizons for you and open up different avenues for you as well. But that would be like one of my biggest answers. I'm trying to think of like other stuff. Oh my god, okay. I was able to skateboard a bit, but I wasn't perfect. I would love to be able to like even go back and put more emphasis on the idea of like how like skateboarding and become better and be, you know, because I was like I had like a skate, like I was in skateboarding, I had skateboarding friends, I was around skateboarders, and so of course you pick up some stuff and like you're able to do some stuff, But like, I would love to be able to be like do tricks and like feel free on that board. You know what I mean? But like, again, I never really got to like get deeper into that as well. What else would I love to learn how to do? Let's see. I'm trying to think now. Here's something. I would love to be able to learn how to fix all like technological stuff. So like, say like my like consoles, my laptops, my anything I have like my Switch or whatever. I'd love to be able to on the fly just be like, oh, my PS5 broke, I better fix it. You know what I mean? I'd love to have that technological prowess to be able to fix something like that. Whereas like, you know, now like you kind of have to take it off to a shop or I send it to a friend. Back in the day, we all knew a guy who you just give it to, and he'd like, in exchange for like, and I'm not even joking. I knew a guy when I was younger who would give him like your Xbox or your PlayStation. He'd fix it, and in exchange, like he literally asked for like 3 packets of like full 10 packs of like 3 packs of those like chocolate bars. I forget what brand it was, but literally just get him those, and he's like, yeah, sure, just get me that. And like, I don't even think he like, well, I think it was just kind of like to show his own self-worth, because like, you know, but again, he was like, we were young at the time, so probably didn't even think of that, but he's just like, I'll fix it, but like, I don't want to just like be like, I'm doing this for free. Makes sense, you know, take this. And he would fix the stuff, but I always like remember being like, I wish I could do that. I wish I could fix that stuff. But obviously I can't. But yeah, that's what I would be able to, I'd love to do. I'd love to also be able to like mod stuff like on the fly. I'd love to be able to do that as well. That'd be a really fun thing to do as well. Because the day I modded my PlayStation Classic was like the most fun I've ever had. It was scary at first, but once you do it, it's like so fun. It's the same with like anything else, but I'd love to be able to learn how to actually do that entirely. Hope that answers the question very well. Leon asks, have you ever played Dungeons & Dragons before? I have. If you have, what was your character like? And if not, what would you like to play? I played Dungeons & Dragons extensively to the point that at one point, I was playing a game like once every 2 weeks at least. I haven't played Dungeons & Dragons in years. It was a very fun thing for me. I loved playing Dungeons & Dragons. I loved like the activity around it, the camaraderie around it. I mostly played, I can tell you the characters I played through the few campaigns I did. I played a wizard, first of all. There was like a wizard who talks like this. Then I played like, we did this like cyberpunk side thing, and I was like a girl who had like, I don't even remember her name, but like she had like, I remember just being like, oh, she's cool. You know, I made it the coolest person ever. She had this long blonde hair, this cool eyeshadow, like, and she had like this shotgun. I was like, she's so cool. You know what I mean? I had another character called, like some like Vision Star or something like that as well. And he was like this, like, the embodiment of like again, it was a parody. Like, I wasn't trying to be like, I'm the anime character. It was like an anime character, like but again, like I played it more sincere, because like one of the things that like I knew was gonna be annoying, it's like, yes, I created like this parody character of like a anime character, but I was also at the same time like, I want to play it sincere, because again, it can borderline on like annoying if you're just like, I'm like the character who's like the hero, because he believed he was a hero all the time. He believed he was on this journey, like, and everyone's just like, okay, stop it. But I played it with like a sincerity. So I think like, you know, no one told me they were annoyed, but maybe they were. Maybe they were like, oh, here comes this guy again. But they, you know, I was always invited back, so like, there's nothing, you know, there, I suppose. Because I think if you play a character, I think you know this well, if you play Dungeons & Dragons League, you can have a fun character like that. But if you play it in a way that's like all parody and all jokes, it gets annoying after a while. So you have to like add some sincerity to that too as well. But he was like there was a subclass of some kind. But usually, like, I think I like just playing like, and this is not because I'm like, oh, I love the playing as a human. I think sometimes they can be very basic, and sometimes like I just love the role playing aspect. So I'm just like, what's the easiest one I can pick here? They're like, human fighter. Okay, nah. Like, pick that. Okay. And like, you sure you don't want to go for like Argonian this? And I'm like, no. The easiest one, so I can just get into having like a bit of the role playing aspects, because I love the role playing aspects. But yeah, I did play Dungeons & Dragons for a while. Don't play it anymore. But I love watching it. I watched Easy Allies play it for years. But yeah, that would be my characters. Usually I pick just like the most basic character I can, but I love the role playing aspect of everything as well. At one point, by the way, in our story, in our Dungeons & Dragons story, there was a this other character who was called Bloop. And my character, who was like the, you know, the very sincere quote unquote anime character, was we became like detectives because there was a murder or something, and like no one asked us to be detectives, but like he could only say bloop. That was all he could say. He would just say bloop, 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 bloop. That was all he could say. So like we were doing good cop, bad cop. And I know I'm sharing a story here that people are probably like, I don't even care about this, but like we were doing good cop, bad cop, but it was like We just said it was like bad cop, bloop cop. Because like I was just like, where were you on the night of the 14th? And he'd cut, and I'd swap out, and he'd come in and go bloop 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 bloop. While it's not funny to you guys, probably to me, it was such a good time. It was such a good time. But yeah, that's what I'm more interested in, like the personality-driven aspect of it. That makes sense. I loved playing characters. I loved having fun. I loved having so much like jokes, and the energy around the table was so fun too. I actually like disliked the combat kind of a lot. Like every time we got into combat, like even the DM would laugh and he'd be like, "You're just trying to get out of combat as quick as possible, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yep, I'm just trying to end this as soon as possible." Yeah. So maybe I was like DM's worst nightmare, but he always invited me back, so I'm assuming that it was okay. You know? Yeah. Hypernova asks, if you were in the Pokemon world, what Pokemon first would come to your mind for having on your team? Not necessarily just for battling, but for maybe hobbies or even just as pets. Interesting. Like, so it's like it's something that would help you out in day-to-day stuff. I think I'd have to pick like a Pidgeot or something, right? I kind of a creature that would like be flying through the sky or soaring and get you to places pretty quickly. Or that, or like, I guess like, because again, that's like, you know, like a locational thing. If you're talking about like an everyday thing, something that would help me, like say any day, not just like being helpful, but someone who like would be healthy. I guess like, you know, someone would like improve your team, you know, someone you would be, you know, for like your hobbies and everything as well. Like, it'd be really cool to have like a Machamp, like to just like, you know, I'm not saying this is like, you are like going to carry my shopping and you're going to carry this, but like, you know, like Pokemon like love helping their Pokemon trainers, right? And I'm not going to make him carry all the shopping. I just carry some of the shopping, and Machamp would carry the other shopping, you know? And I think it'd be a nice day out, you know? Imagine us in the supermarket together. What should I get? And he's like, this tomato. You know, they'll say that, Machamp. I'm like, oh yeah, you should get that. That looks good, you know? And he flings it into the bag and it crushes, and I keep it anyway because I love him. But yeah, like something like that, like to help you out with that stuff too. Let me think as well. I think like in terms of like a pet vibe, even though they're not always pets, like I think like the types of like the mouse Pokemon and like the very cute Pokemon, like say like a Pikachu or something, like a Raichu. I think they're very adorable to have around the place. I think like something like a Meowth or was a Sphinx, is it? Will be very, or Persian, sorry, for Persian will be very good to have around the house as well. But yeah, I think that would be my answer. It would be either like a Machamp to carry all my bags. That sounds so bad, but I mean to like help us out. Like go, like imagine a shopping trip with Machamp. It'd be so fun. A bird to carry me anywhere, you know, going on flying adventures. To have just the lovely vibes of like a mouse type Pokemon or a cat type Pokemon just around the house. Yeah, that would be like, I know like people say maybe water Pokemon as well might be a fun thing as well. But I really feel like, you know, that would be like the cutest thing ever. I can just imagine myself in the store with Machamp. Him being like, can I get these? It's like, yeah, you get that for yourself. It'd be a really, really fun time. And like I'd even give him he'd have like a cool like new metal outfit on. He'd have like cargo shorts for some reason. I don't know, it'd be really funny. But yeah, like that's why I would think of it. Like in terms of like if it was battling, I know it's not part of the question. If it was battling, Sudowoodo was always my favorite Pokemon, so I'd always like want Sudowoodo to be on the Pokemon team. But yeah, in terms of like the actual practicality of it and the hobby aspect of it, those would be my choices for sure. That's an interesting question. It's very interesting because it takes away the aspect of like the battling aspect, right? It definitely does. It takes away that the aspect we know about, right? For sure. Pedro the Genie will wipe sorry, this is Malcolm Day asking a question, by the way. Pedro the Genie will wipe your memory clean and your experience for a specific piece of media, game, anime, manga, etc. of your choosing, so you may relive the experience for the first time once more. Which piece of media are you choosing? Hands down, it's a boring answer. Dark Souls, all the games, all those games. Whilst multiple playthroughs of Souls games are always like perfect, there is nothing that beats the first journey through a Souls game. There's nothing that will ever beat the first ever trip to Majula in Dark Souls 2. There's nothing ever that will beat the first ever trip to Lothric Castle, that will beat the first ever trip to Firelink Shrine. There is nothing to me, right? Yes, I would like, again, here's the thing, would I like to raise my mind and play Persona again? 100%, like that'd be great too. There's so many games I'd love to raise my mind, but I feel like that energy of Dark Souls of playing it for the first time is something that like, because I can play Persona 5, obviously it won't be the first time, it'll be different, but I still have those emotions like of that story and those characters, and we live with the characters forever, and like I see Akechi everywhere, you know, it's like a really beautiful thing. But like with Dark Souls, I feel like so much of like that game, the emphasis on like, oh, that hallway that you went down once where you didn't know what was gonna be around the corner, but now you do. You always know what's going to be around the corner. What's down this alleyway down here? Oh my God, look, there's a Hydra down this place here. You know what I mean? Oh, what's going to be in this room? oh my god, I found this cool weapon, but now you know all that stuff. And I think that feeling is so fantastic. I think, like, you know, you could give Skyrim as an answer as well, but I think Dark Souls is the perfect answer for me because they're games that I played religiously, and even though I loved them on the 100th playthrough, each one of them, the magic of playing them on the first playthrough is never going to be truly lost. And I feel like that's an important thing to note, is like that magic that you feel on the first playthrough of a Souls game is perfect. And again, like I said, like, you know, would I like to play Persona 5 for the first time, or Persona 4, Persona 3 for the first time again? Yes, it'd be beautiful. Would I like to play Shadow of the Colossus for the first time again? Here's an interesting answer. It's weird for me. I love Final Fantasy X, Shadow of the Colossus are two games that have informed my video game love probably more than a lot of other games. So like, whilst they're my two favorite games of all time, 1 and 2, I still think it's one of those situations where like I need them to be here. You know what I mean? I need Shadow of the Colossus to be in my life so I can get to this point with video games. Because if I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus back when I was younger, video games were already something I loved. I love playing wrestling games. I love playing Tekken. Tekken's an example too. It's like, you know, I wouldn't erase my memories of those either. But it's one of those situations where like, if I didn't play Tekken 4, if I didn't play Shadow of the Colossus, if I didn't play Final Fantasy X, if I didn't play Tekken Tag Tournament, all those games, and I feel like legitimately, if I didn't play Resident Evil 2, I feel like legitimately like I would have a different path of video games. So I kind of like don't want to erase my personality with those, but I do with Dark Souls 100%. I would go back in a heartbeat and play through all those games again. I love them to death. I really, really freaking do. They're amazing. You know, you could say Genshin's in our answer as well. That every day I think, man, I'd love to go to Mondstadt for the first time again, you know, with a clear mind. Of course, that's an answer. But I think now, like, Genshin's still ongoing, so it's obviously a little bit easier. Yeah. The next thing was a question I asked, and the question I asked was, yo, tell me a game from your childhood you could never forget. Malcolm Conde says, it must have been around 50 years ago. It was summer, and my little cousin's birthday party was coming up. My mother wanted to get her a Nintendo DS for her birthday, but they were quite expensive new, so she bought one for a secondhand. Makes sense. My parents would do that too. There was still a month before her birthday, so I had some time to check the games that had come with it. There was Nintendogs, some Barbie games, as well as some weird 999 game. No way. None of these seemed interesting, so I didn't play any, but weeks later I was bored, so I gave that 999 anime game a try. Oh my god. I became obsessed with the game, and the first thing I got was the worst. I felt devastated, but I learned that this game had multiple endings, and my mind was blown. It was the first time I played a game where your choices made an actual impact in the story. I'll never forget this game as the one that made me fall in love with visual novels of JRPG style games. After my cousin received her new DS, she unfortunately never really played any of the games, as she was never interested in video games, but I always look back on this time fondly. That's an amazing story, because that is 100% the look of like the mother or the grandmother, right? You know, when they go into a store, they buy a random game, and usually like 2 out of 3 times they buy a game that's like, okay, I'm fond of this game because you bought it, but it's not something that's going to be part of my life forever. But then they get that one game where you're like, how did you get so lucky with this? I remember specifically, sorry to like, you know, because again, I love that story, and like to remind me of a story of my childhood. I remember like legitimately like my mother also bought me a secondhand Game Boy SP, along with 2 other games that were secondhand. And I remember like my brother was the one who like went to the store and kind of was like, oh, you can get 2 secondhand games for this amount of prices, whatever. And I remember at that moment, like as a kid, I didn't really comprehend what was happening, because I was like, wait, secondhand, because I was a baby basically. I was like secondhand, like does that mean they're not gonna be good? So I was so worried. I was like, you know, again, because as a child's mind, you're like, but now you understand. It's like, oh my god, yeah, totally get the secondhand games, you know. And even when I was like a teenager, I used to be like, I remember I was like, what games do you want like a game for your, like, and she'd be like, you can afford 1 game basically for your birthday, and I'd be like, can I get 2 secondhand games? She's like, yeah, you know, yeah, get 2 secondhand games then. I mean, that's perfect, you know, because there's nothing wrong with them. It's nothing wrong with getting secondhand equipment whatsoever. It's actually like it's a whole system that just works. But she came back and I got those games for Christmas, and I didn't know what they were before I got them. I didn't even hear them beforehand, because again, I didn't have I had 2 channels in terms of cable. So I got The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past and Pokemon Silver. The look, and again, here's the thing, I know for like Shattering the Dream, it was probably like my mother went to the store and asked like, what's a good game, and the guys in the store were like, oh, you're here, because the GameStop guys were probably really cool. But I like to imagine she went to the store and picked out just 2 games. She saw Lugia and saw Link and said, this is it. You know what I mean? I knew I think they were like I think it was this, I think it might not even been GameStop because it's secondhand stuff that we got with it. Well, I didn't think it even had like cases with it. I think it just had like the packets with the cartridges in them. So it might have been like a, it could have been even like a pawn shop. It could have been. I'm not sure, but I got those games or whatever, and like I was like so over the moon. Can you imagine your first ever RPGs, basically being Zelda and you know that. Sorry for hijacking that as well, Malcolm, because I actually that's like related to it so much because I love the idea of like a mother buying 999 randomly. You know what I mean? Because that's something like it's so like it's shocking because it's like, oh my god, you got 999, but at the same time too, it's also at the same time where it's like that's such a relatable thing. It's like that makes perfect freaking sense because again, it's even with grandmothers, they'll go into the store and buy a random game. The first game is probably a game like, you know, Space Chimps or something, which is a good game and you'll love playing it, but like you don't think about it when you're older. But then they'll buy like, you know, this random crazy game, which is crazy, you know? Like really, really awesome. Like I love that story, Malcolm, because like again, especially something that like was gotten by your mother and now deepened your love for games when you're older, you know? Like a random game you bought, just like that you bought that like really changed your perspective on games, you know? And like, how can you not like, you know, have a fond memory of that or just like think about the time of just like how lucky you were at the time as well. Awesome stuff. Leon says, Kelowna changed me as a person. Not gonna lie, something about the story that ultimately is about love and sometimes pain and goodbyes is a part of love. Not only that, but it's a really fun platform that uses the foreground and background in gameplay. Very cool. The different perspectives is really fun and the story is great for both Kelowna 1 and 2. With Kelowna 2 giving you more mature Kelowna, where there's something just really special about this game. I was so happy when they released Fantasy Reverie a few years ago. I think you've suggested this to me before, right, Leon? But I was like, you know, I think it's like one of those things where like I never really like got into Klonoa, but I know that like the people who love Klonoa, and I think that's always like something that's like, you know, should be noted is like Klonoa fans will die for that series, and I guess it's understandable why, because like, you know, there's so much of the stuff you described there just makes sense as like something that's very beautiful. Very, very like cool ideas for games, and I think the art style is always very, very cool in the game as well. I think it's so cool as well, like, you know, having a game from your childhood that, like, you know, as Malcolm was saying earlier as well, like this idea of a game that like reaffirms your love for a game and or like a genre. And in this case, you got to learn, like, I guess, like what video games can be, like I did with Shadow of the Colossus. When I played Shadow of the Colossus for the first time, like, whilst already, again, I played Final Fantasy X, which like made me realize what games can truly be in terms of cutscenes and all this stuff here as well. I think it's also the first time I found like a boy to be beautiful in terms of Tidus. I was like, holy crap. I was like, this is a handsome man. So that obviously did like change a lot of my. Geez, I should probably like put that in the Malcolm question as well. That like if I didn't see Tidus, my, you know, like I was like, oh my god. But yeah, there's that too. Yeah. There was a game that like changes your perspective on video games and changes you as a person, and I feel like that's Final Fantasy X for me as well, where I also was kind of like, oh my god, this teaches me love and friendship and like all this like this togetherness and fighting for people and dying for people. It's like such an interesting thing that it can teach you, because video games can teach you that stuff. And I'm so glad you had a game that can teach you this too. They look like really beautiful games. I'd love to play them at some point, even like a one-off. But we'll see what happens. Like, because I think I've heard you like explain them before. But yeah, they seem like really beautiful games. And the way you described it sounds really great too as well. And they did release remasters as well. Thank you. Watch Your Damage says, so me and my sister didn't have many games on our DSi, so we always went over to our cousin's home since he had an Xbox and a Wii. Very cool. I think the game I'll never forget is Just Dance 2. Yeah, specifically I remember how we loved doing the dance to Girlfriend by Avril Lavigne. I'm still obsessed with it to this day. I don't know if these work anymore, but I would like to want to dance again. Dances weren't too complicated and very iconic. Just Dance or Lego Batman, that was a hoot. Just Dance is a game that was always a really cool party game. Watch Your Damage might agree. To play Just Dance, you let go of your inhibitions. You let go of who you are. You just embrace the dance, right? Because again, if you're at a party and everyone's playing Just Dance, or you're at a get together about people playing Just Dance, you can be the person that sits on the couch. There's no doubt about it. You don't have to do anything, right? But also at the same time too, it's such a beautiful feeling to just get up and get over that. They get over those feelings. Again, it's hard. I want to say not everyone's social. Some people just want to sit there. That's fine. But for me, it was always a thing. Whenever I got to play Just Dance, it was like I just like was just like let go of everything. Because again, the thing is about Just Dance as well, everyone looks a bit silly playing it. That's the fun of it. Everyone does. So while you might feel like I look silly, everyone looks a bit silly playing Just Dance. There's some people who are really good at Just Dance where you're like, holy crap, you know? But like, it is like, it is like something where you're going to look a bit silly, but it's fun silly, right? And it's such a fun experience. It's such a very communicative experience. And you can still play them. You can play them on the Wii U as well, and you can play them on the original Wii. You can also get them in modern times too on like PS5 and stuff like that as well on PC. I think also maybe PC. I'm not sure, but you can still get those games. They're really, really fun games. They're really good, like again, like camaraderie, people getting together, people having fun. I think it's always like a very like lovely and important aspect of like video games is like the communal aspect sometimes as well. I always just loved like the idea of just not only me doing it, but watching other people do it as well. But like, I love the aspect as well, like of like, you know, can I say as well, the thing you said about going over to a cousin's house or going over to like a family member's house and them having a system there. Like, I used to like adore going to my auntie's house and she had Tekken 3, which again was like opened my freaking mind. I was like, holy hell. Like, and I remember like, because of that, that's why like my parents bought me Tekken 4, because I played Tekken 3 like once or twice or a few times up my auntie's house. And my auntie must have said like, oh, he likes Tekken, and they got to me Tekken 4 one time. And I was like, again, existence breaking, you know what I mean? It really was. But I love that feeling. It's like, oh my God, I get to go up there, not only to see your friend, but also, or see your family member, but also I know they have like this amazing console there. And in terms of Lego Batman as well, I loved the Lego games as a kid as well. I would play Lego Star Wars and create my own stories in it as well. But yeah, that's such a fun story as well, and such like a warm story as well. What's Your Damage? I loved hearing that, honestly. And Victoria says, there was a game on Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, depending on where you're from. It was Mega Drive where I was from, called Paperboy, and you had to ride your bike down the street and try to toss newspapers into mailboxes while avoiding things like swarms of killer bees and drunkards. I always liked that game. Oh God, not drunkards. I always liked the game and recently found a version of it at the local arcade bar as an arcade machine, so I really brought back memories. That's fantastic, finding something like that. To say like this is the first part of your story here as well about the Mega Drive. Again, sorry for always using your answers as soapbox, guys. We had a Mega Drive when I was a kid, but I found out that it was rented much years later, because what happened was, like, you know, we couldn't afford a Mega Drive, but like my dad still wanted to be like, you know, hey, let's get them a video game for like maybe around, you know, to play, you know, during the off times, like when you're off school or so, whatever. And, you know, I never realized, like, you know, like because we didn't have a lot of money, we just didn't. But it was one of those things where like he rented it for like a week. And I remember when like the Mega Drive was just gone, it was one of those situations where like I feel like even as kids, we got the energy of just like, hey, just don't ask about it. You know what I mean? It's just, like, he was like, we're like, where'd the Mega Drive go? And he's like, you know, I gave it to whatever. Or I think he might have said like it's in the attic or something, like we don't need it right now. And I think it was one of the situations where like, I think we just didn't even question it. We're just like, okay, like, you know, you're we trust you, you know. But later on, he's like, yeah, I just didn't want you to know that like I rented it, you know, at the time. And I was like, that's an amazing story. Like the fact that you were like, they're gonna be off all week. I want them to play something. I want them to have fun. It's just like, it's like, that's not like a bad story at all. Maybe to kids, they might have been like, wait, you give it back? But it's for like, as an adult, I remember hearing, I was like, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful that you would do that, you know? I think you can rent console. I think there was like it wasn't like an official shop, by the way, or an official GameStop. It was like a local store that would rent out consoles, which I don't know if is exactly legal now that you can just rent out a console, but I think you can rent them out for events, maybe. But yeah, like I love the idea of finding a game from your childhood, like in the wild, right? It almost reminds me of like, you know, when you hear like a song from a game, like I think what happened like recently, like I heard a song from a game from like years and years ago, and I remember just being like, whoa. Holy hell. Or I saw a clip from Tomb Raider Legend recently. I was like, oh my God, I gotta play it. And I bought it for like a tenner. I was like, I got it because I saw a clip and I was like, it took me right back. But how beautiful is that, Victoria, that you went to like this arcade and you found it there in the arcade place? That's awesome. That's amazing. I can only imagine how like warm you felt in that moment, how happy you felt in that moment, because now you have like this reminder of your childhood, a reminder of when you were younger. It can only like legitimately like be a lovely experience, right? That, like, again, as you said, instantly takes you back. It's like smelling a food from your childhood or whatever like that. Tasting a food that your mother or father used to make or something like that. It definitely is like that beautiful feeling for sure. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you all for sharing your answers. Guys, that's going to do this month's community video. If you want to get involved in this, for the question I asked you guys, it's the $10 tier. For the question you ask me, it's the $3 tier. And you can get that on the, I think it's actually like $3.50, I think it is, because it's €3 with $3.50, yeah. So you can check that out there as well. And it actually, I love hearing your questions. I love always answering your questions as well. It's always very fun. It's so fun. You can also do it on YouTube as well. If you go down to the YouTube section, the join button, you can also ask questions and get asked a question as well down below every single month. Thank you to TyFire2, Jamie Bull, Johnny the Banana, the Ghost Inazuma, Felicitas Felix, Yule, Radish Anusta, Lynx Markey, Assassin, True Peanut Butter, Peter Selson, Leon, Ike Asperian, Jared Beanham, and the highest cheer on my YouTube, Royal Gamer 7 and Blasco, and I'll see you all so soon. Bye bye.